Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Walls here, back with another off meta gem video. Today we're going to be showcasing this Chronomancer build that we got put together here. We're going to get right into it. As before, a very fast rundown of what's happening, make it even faster. Really, all we're using is Frostwall and Frostbolt to clear mobs. It's going to do the job. Our AoE is buffed. We have high crit chance. Specifically, we can look at our crit here. Somewhere on here, yeah, we're at about 52.4% on Frostbolts, and then Frost Walls, we're looking at about 48% chance. Of course, we care about crit because one, it makes us do a lot more damage, and two, we're using cast on critical with Comet. Comet itself is going to be pushing a lot of damage, and it has a very high percentage to crit, which is even more damage on top of it because of the fact that we're running these Malagaro's Virtuosity Fine Bracers that give us a flat 300% crit damage bonus. Now, these are not required for the build. I will premise it by saying that, but I apologize in advance because this video really is dedicated to this unique ring, the Snakepit. The Snakepit is going to allow this build to basically do everything it needs to do. I can show you a quick example of why that's important. So taking off the Snakepit ring, I'm going to cast my Frost Wall. I have Spell Cascade on, of course, and we're going to throw our Frost Bolts at it. That is very mid, and that does not feel good at all. Oops. Now we're going to throw our Snakepit ring on, specifically on the left slot, because you can see it says the left ring slot there, projectiles from the spell's fork, which is really important. But now we can see if we cast a Frost Wall and throw some Frost Bolts. We're going to get that not able to pierce. Projectiles from spells can't pierce while this ring is on. It's the most important aspect, specifically because our Frost Bolts, it reads that it pierces all targets. And that's just as simple as it is. With the Snakepit on, we're able to just explode these walls and just stack up a lot of AoE damage and whatnot. Beyond that, the build is pretty simple. We'll get right into it and explain it more or less while we're talking about it. We're just going to grab a random map. And this map is relatively juiced. It's not insane, but it is a tier 15 that's not bland. So we'll just run through and explain exactly what's going on and how we're playing the build and how it's feeling. Like I said, the Malagaros are definitely not required, but they give you a flat 300% crit damage bonus. Therefore, you don't really have to spend any skill points in the tree towards crit damage bonus. It's pretty nice. So we're going to run around, and you can see instantly our temporal chains here activating with Blasphemy, socketed in. This is just going to kind of let us run around and be safe and set things up for the most part. It's really, really important. It slows down movement or action speed, movement speed. And it's really nice. The main idea of the clear here is going to be just casting our Frost Walls and then a Frostbolt. And you can see how much that clears in itself. And it's just a pattern of those two abilities cycling back to back, which causes crits, which drops Comets, like you saw there. Comets can be good at finishing. If you ever end up in a sticky situation, let's see if I can put myself in one. Not really too much to worry about at the moment. Okay, we're kind of getting locked down here. We temporal rift. We reset our position. Now and again actually triggered, so I get another temporal rift. Reposition, restoring all of my stats. It's nice. You don't really need it. It's just an exceptional defensive tool in situations where you're not comfortable. You just have to recognize those situations before it's too late. A little rare here. We're going to see how tanky he is. Not that tanky, so I'm not going to worry about casting my Eye of Winter here. Eye of Winter there is going to apply our lightning exposures, our cold exposures, and it crits a lot because we have Unleash on it, so we throw a few of them. Every single one of those projectiles can crit, which is going to build up our cast on crit energy there in the top left, as you can see. Right now we're just running through a tier 15, clearing as intended. We're dropping Frost Walls. Sometimes the Frost Walls will just explode on their own. Perfectly okay and honestly ideal. When you see a mob, you kind of want to cast the Frost Wall in the mob. Inevitably, when you do that, they will just explode on their own, which is perfectly fine. So we're just cycling between the two abilities, throwing down Frost Walls, throwing down Frost Walls. Snakepit Ring is making this combo just awesome. I'm sure if you ran something like a support gem that makes the Frost Wall's life 50% less, You might be able to pull it off without Snakepit. I've tried before and it's very difficult. The only downside is this ring isn't cheap. I'm not 100% sure what it's at right now or the time you're watching this, but when I got mine, I believe it was around 10 div, which isn't an insane price, but it definitely is a lot to ask for, especially in an off-meta build, but I guess you could expect that. Little spooky situation there. If I felt like I couldn't get out because I missed a dodge roll, I would have just temporal rift out. I can also freeze time at any point if I'm feeling overwhelmed by the mobs. This build gives you a lot of versatility when it comes to setting up your positioning. I got my Snakepit ring from chance of orbing the white pearl rings. They're very cheap to buy. I was buying them for about a regal, I think 1 regal per ring, and then orbs of chance. I went about 2 divine worth of orbs of chance and Snakepits in total before I got the Snakepit. I was pretty lucky. The Malagaros I just bought for 6 div. They've gone down quite a bit since the opening of the league. It's alright, nice little 19 there. At least we got something. But as you can see, this is just kind of how the build goes, you know? We're running Sapphire Gems that give us 2% mana on kill. When it comes to the Amulet, I'm actually running Dynamism. Dynamism for the extra damage after triggering spells, considering we're using Cast on Crit, which is going to trigger a Comet. Beyond that, when it comes to putting gear together, the most important thing you can look at is crit chance, obviously. I will show the gear here at the end of this map. For those that don't really care, I suppose you could just refer to the planner, which is in the bottom of the video. I'm also going to have the leveling planner version of this in the description of the video. If you're leveling this build, you're not going to be using the setup as it is currently. It's just not enough damage, and Snakepit has a level requirement, I'm sure, but I don't know it off the top of my head at the moment. So here we're looking a little issue. We got the freeze on him, so I'm not too worried. Beyond freezing time, we can also freeze because we're using ice spells. But for the gear, I will explain after we finish this map, which we just did. So let's just talk about it real fast before we get into the bossing aspect, and then we can wrap it up. For gear, you can see that my wand, it's not like amazing, but the fact that it has 101% crit chance for spells is insane. We have cold damage, spell damage, mana. Mana is going to be like one of the most important things that you can think about when you're putting on any piece of gear. As you can see, all of my gear is relatively close to the best kind of mana roll I could ask for right now. Being over 100 mana on anything, this ring, I mean, it's 213 mana. A lot of mana. You want to be close to that 100 mark specifically because of our boy Archmage here, because you get the additional damage per each 100 max mana you have. Right now I'm at 1847. It kind of bugs me I'm not at 1900 right now. If I was at 1900, it'd be that extra 3% damage, but it's really important just to like kind of try to go for that. Obviously the end number is always going to be the best. So when it comes to gear, we're definitely just stacking mana, energy shield. Obviously, we're fixing our resistances. We're capped out on everything except chaos, because chaos can be hard to get, and I don't really care about chaos too much, especially on this build, feeling so safe with our time freezes, our temporal rifts, and our actual freezes. But with the gear explained, the understanding of how the mapping works, let's go ahead and let's just get right into that Zesh kill so you can see how the bossing will go. Let's get into it. Yo, alright, let's get into the bossing real quick. We're just going to do a quick Zesh run. Just so you can understand the concept. It's not going to be the hardest Zesh run. This build has room for improvements over time, I'm sure. I love to see it in the comments, you guys optimizing and figuring out new or different things that we can try to make this build a little bit better than it is. But for the most part, we're just going to run the Zesh just to get an idea. This is a showcase, after all, of how the build is supposed to work. You can see that we have our Omen Scepter. I forgot to mention before earlier when I talked about gear, because the Malice is really important to get that critical boost when you're in range. Beyond that, let's just quick skim over how we're going to fight this boss. Obviously it's Zesh, we're going to push through a breach. Same thing you saw in the maps, we're going to be doing that same type of style of clearing. But when we get to Zesh, the cycle is really important. You can see it in the planner. I have everything down, I have everything explained, I have the boss cycling abilities, but the video is just a little bit better to actually see what's going on. We're going to be dropping our conductivity. Conductivity is just going to boost the fact that we have lightning damage to all of our attacks thanks to Archmage. After the conductivity, we're going to drop an Eye of Winter. Actually, sorry about that. We're going to conductivity, we're going to time freeze, What Time Freeze is going to allow us to do is stall the boss out so we can make sure we set everything up and get ready for the massive damage we're about to produce. Time Freeze is great. It's phenomenal. We're also running Second Wind on it, so we get 2 of them. Yes, it freezes for less time after the boss or entity has already been hit by it. But having 2 of them is fantastic because it's just going to give us enough time to do everything we need to do. So we're going to do a Conductivity into Time Freeze, throw an Eye of Winter to apply all our exposures, because you can see that we have Lightning Exposure and we have Cold Exposure. After we've applied our debuffs, we're ready to start doing DPS. So we're going to be Conductivity, we're going to freeze time, we're going to throw an Eye of Winter, and then we're just going to do Frostwall, Frostbolt, Frostwall, Frostbolt. Our mana is going to delete so fast, but that's the beauty of Temporal Rift. When we use all of our mana, hopefully we use it all very quickly, so we can cast Temporal Rift, go back in time 4 seconds to where our mana wasn't fully used, and then we can just repeat the process until the boss is dead. That's the idea. Let's get right into it. Hopefully it goes well. This is, like I said, is just going to be like, I think it's tier 1 Zesht. We are just showcasing what it's like. There is definitely room for improvement on this build, and I look forward to seeing it. Like I said before, as we're pushing through this breach, we're just doing everything we did after the clear. The Frostwall is going to be great. Being mindful of how many I'm casting. I can cast up to 3, but because of Spell Cascade, I really only need 1 for the quick clear. Sometimes you might end up having to cast more. Specifically because you don't want to die. That was pretty close. I'm not really sure what hit me. A little bit more meticulous of a build. It's not your friendly neighborhood lightning spear do everything in one button. See, now I'm kind of out of my frost walls because I've been overusing them due to a slight bit of panic. We're pushing slowly but surely, trying to stay as safe as possible. We got some rares up there. We're really trying to get the most value out of our frost walls as possible, keeping some time in between casts. We do have Now and Again, which can easily refund us a cast, but that's only a 33% chance, so it's not something we're relying on, but instead just using it with the opportunity. Keeping an eye on my Frostwall cast, because it really is our main clear. Frostbolts do decent damage, especially because we have our ambush on, so they're hitting crits on full HP enemies all the time, which can activate our Comet. This Comet's a lot of damage. They did fix Spell Echo, so Spell Echo would be great usually in this situation on Comet, but it's still fantastic as well. Little dead end there. Getting baited. Getting dominated. I thought about Temporal Rifting there, but I realized it wasn't necessary because they're right at the end here. It's going to be very close. A little too close if you ask me. I'm sure there's a way you can get a little bit more crit damage bonus. No breach rings. Alright, let's get into the actual boss fight here and try to go for this rotation. Hopefully I can showcase it as well. We might see him go underground first attack, which is pretty unideal. We always want to keep moving as much as possible to get as much value out of where we were positioned last. Conductivity. We're going to freeze time. We're going to Eye of Winter into our main damage. Temporal Rift, get all my mana back. Temporal Rift. That was kind of a bad one. I put myself in kind of a weak situation here. Let me get that conductivity out. We're going to freeze time. Temporal Rift. He's frozen. Another Rift. Another Rift. temporal to dodge this. Some mana pots because we kind of had to use a temporal when we didn't want to. Let's make sure we're up top on mana here. Another conductivity. Temporal Rift, get our mana back. Temporal Rift, get the mana back again. Temporal one more time. Oh, that was a little unfortunate. I probably could have Temp Drift there to save my life. But we got the kill. It can be a little bit slow, it is kind of crit reliant, but I've been having fun with this build. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you said the bossing's a little slow. That was a pretty slow kill, it was pretty tough. And I also wouldn't blame you if you said it's just not good enough. But you know what? It's all about having fun, that's what we like to do. We're gonna take a look at this Amber Amulet we got and see if it was a nasty roll or not. It's pretty good, it's not too bad, we'll take it. Much love. I really appreciate you guys checking out the video. Let me know what you think of this build. It's definitely not as crazy as the monk build that we just put out. It's not as insane as some people might like. The boss kill was a little slow, but it was more or less just a showcase. In any words, or in any cases, you guys can talk about optimization. I would like to know how to make this build that much stronger. I feel like it's got a lot of potential and it's really good. Either way, much love. Really appreciate you guys watching the video. Do me a favor, if there's any classes or ascendancies that you guys want to see me work on, or maybe try to put something together for an off-meta type vibe, go ahead and leave that in the comments. Otherwise, check out the planners that are down in the description. We have one for the endgame build itself, which is going to have everything included in the description of how things work in text. And then I'm going to have a leveling planner there as well, as what I did to level my build during the campaign, because it doesn't look quite like this. Either way, much love, guys. As you know, it's your boy Walls. Have a good time, good luck, and have fun. Peace.